Hello, everybody, and happy holidays, of course. Welcome back to the show.
This is where I'm supposed to come in. Oh, yes. Happy holidays. Happy Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa's a real holiday, right? Like, it's a real... It's not?
Nah, never in my household, no. We don't know about Umoja and all that other shit. Since we're less than a minute into this, and it's already problematic.
But Kwanzaa... I'm trying to see, like, where's Kwanzaa originated? It's a United States holiday.
Yeah.
It's not even an actual African holiday. All right, you know what? Whatever. To whatever you celebrate, have a merry time doing it.
Welcome back to the A Show. This is the we'll count this as the 10th episode or the second part of the 9th episode.
I want to say just 10th. Okay. I don't know.
This is the 10th.
It's a good way to end the year. We'll start off with fresh new set of numbers. But
11.
We got to 10 episodes.
Yeah, 10 weeks. It's still amazing.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
I'll be honest.
We're doing pretty well. I must say, like we have big plans for 2018, which we'll get to when we get to that. But just thanks for everyone for listening to us. And speaking of people that listen to us, I didn't know how many people listened to us until last week when everyone talked about your comments on Women's Royal Rumble last week, Meelz.
Oh, I actually want to retract those comments.
Nah, that's fucked up. You might want to.
I don't want to say that just because...
the backlash?
I don't say just because it sounds mean. So I actually did research to try to back up my claims. So I was just like, you know what? Because my memories of women's battle royals are like the old ones, like the mid-2000s, early 2000s ones, where literally it was not an over-the-top rope one. It was literally, you could go through the ropes, whatever. People were just kicking each other and going under the last rope. It was like, it wasn't the women's revolution that we have now. I ran back this year, and there was a women's battle royal this year in NXT. Actually, I think it was to crown whoever was going to NXT Brooklyn. It was the one that Ember Moon won, I think. And all of them went over the top rope. So you know what? I feel bad. I feel terrible for saying this. I feel terrible for saying that women can have a 60-minute Royal Rumble match, even though I think it would still be...
It's going to be 30 minutes for sure.
But you know what? It is what it is. No, it's not what it is, but it is. It is...
Great. It is great for women.
Women can do anything that...
Jesus Christ. You're just digging the whole worse for yourself. I literally stepped back, and just let everyone say whatever they wanted to say about those comments.
I feel like, you know what? More power. I'm very excited for this, Women's Royal Rumble. I'm excited. It's the first, in its... of its kind, at least.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to who they decide to bring back. I think for the first one, you can really sort of go all out and look, and I'll be interested to see if this becomes a recurring thing every year.
I'll say don't bring back Trish or Beth Phoenix first. Bring them back like next year. You gotta have something. You gotta have something.
You gotta have Trish. I feel like you gotta have Trish. I feel like you gotta have that moment in the Royal Rumble where it's like Trish, Mickey, Lita standing across against like Becky, Bayley, and Charlotte.
Yeah.
And it's just like, the past and the future, women's, one of those.
One of those, I'll definitely say that.
Michael Cole gasming.
Michael Cole definitely said, ah.
He's like, oh my God, it's the past versus the present, and look at how far we've come, and blah, 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 and,
Do you think they should have a women's commentator for that?
All right, let me...
Like Lita?
All right, so now you're dragging me into this. All right, so I'm not going to say anything. You know what? Because I was going to say most women's commentary is kind of bad in WWE.
Wow.
But it's been true.
Wow.
Like Lita wasn't that good.
Lita's pretty bad. I'll give you that. I don't think anyone would disagree with you on that. But I don't...
Renee Young? I love Renee Young.
She was all right on NXT. I thought she was cool in NXT.
She you know what? She had too much. She's too
insider.
She's too, not even insider. She's too conversational. She's more like live at Regis and Kelly and that sort of format, more than like competitive professional wrestling, and adding synopsis to that. She's more conversational. That's why I liked her show Unfiltered with Renee Young, as opposed to Renee Young as a commentator.
Yeah,
I just think her style doesn't work for professional wrestling commentary. But we'll see what happens. I'll be surprised.
How was your Christmas meal? Speaking of gifts and presents,
my Christmas was kind of dry. And I'll be honest with you, and I feel, I felt good. I gave a lot of people a lot of presents this year. I gave my niece very angry at me for half my presents because I gave her a lot of books because I feel like, she needs to read more. She's 8 years old. I don't want her to be stupid out here in these streets. I want her to have options.
You are the Chris Nowitzki of gift giving.
But I also gave her I gave her plenty. I gave her toys. All right, so her grades haven't been as good as it's supposed to be. So that's why I gave her mostly books. She did get toys, but I gave her mostly books. My mom in terms of what she got from me, she wanted this like external charger for her phone and like this phone wash thing, which is like, I've never heard of a phone wash. Apparently it cleans your phone because apparently phones gather so much bacteria and dirt and shit that, and people don't really realize it. So she wanted this phone wash thing, so she got it.
What do they dip it in?
I don't know. I haven't actually seen it in action. She hasn't used it yet. So I'm going to, when I get home today, because I'm at the studio where we record Two Belts, when I get home today, I'll probably figure out how the hell it's going to be used. So, you know what? I might have a little review next week. My little Amazon review.
Shout out to Two Belts, by the way.
Shout out to Two Belts. We'll be back next year. But the latest episodes, all 134 episodes, are up on SoundCloud for you to listen to.
Do you think we'll be able to get to 134 episodes?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, why not?
That was the lie. That was like a girl asked you like, "What are we?"
We can do anything we set our minds to. I feel like we can do this. 134. I didn't think it was in the reach when we do Two Belts, but here we are. So you know what? I think it's perfectly within reach. I think over the next couple of years, perhaps we'll go through changes in the things that we do. You're a pretty big deal where you're at. I'm a medium-sized deal where I'm at. So, you might go through changes, but I think this should be the one glue that keeps us grounded and keeps us, just wrestling.
Nice save there.
Thank you. I got my sister those Aris Jordans.
Oh wow, big money.
Yeah, so I'm never doing that again because
you get them off sneakers.
I don't know. My sister's very unappreciative for things. So,
wow, you're just putting your family on. Your sister's shoot interviewing your family right now.
I'm not gonna hide it. But she did get it. She liked it. It is what it is. I got my dad a jacket.
Wow.
Now that's what I got.
That's dope. And no one got you anything.
No one got me shit. No one got me shit. I was just like, you know what? After going through, you look through the Snapchats and you look through the Instagram stories, and everyone's with their family in their matching pajamas or whatever the hell it is, and you see everyone getting gifts, and you're like, damn, I kind of wish I had a gift. But you know what? I looked at it. I said, you know what? I'm kind of blessed this year. I had the opportunity to give my family a bunch of gifts. I bought a lot of cool shit for myself. I bought this iPhone X I got, this Mac, this, all these other things.
Damn, let me borrow $20, bruh.
No, get out of here. Come on. I got a bunch of cool things. So you know what? I feel blessed, but at the same time, it would have been nice to get something for Christmas. But you know what? Christmas is the entire year for me.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel it. That's how was your
Christmas? How was your Christmas in LA, away from your family?
Damn, shit on me. Why don't you? You know what? For everything that I can say about me being bummed out about not being around my family, I was around people that do care about me and love me. It was a lot of watching movies this weekend. Well, this week I'm off for a very long time. There's a lot of watching movies. I haven't I swear I haven't touched any type of outside activities since I got off of work last week. I've been eating good.
That's good.
I had a very great Christmas day. My my girlfriend got me a Nintendo Switch, so I'm currently like addicted to it. Like I am. I didn't even think that I could be addicted to Mario like I am, but like I went to sleep and I had dreams about it. So that tells you how I feel about it right now.
Oh my God,
it's
Nintendo
crazy.
Switch, a very large play PSP. That's how I feel. I was like,
it's not. But it's not. It's really not. It's like I think it's on the. I love the PSP. It's like on that level. But I think that what's more impressive about it is just the amount of ways you can play the shit. Like I was literally just like watching a movie and like I had the Switch like off to the side and I had the Joy-Cons in my hand and I was just playing the game while I was watching TV. Like it's so portable that it's kind of scary. Yeah, it's kind of scary. I had a really great Christmas. I can't say it was like last year's Christmas was like I was at home. It was pretty cool. This year's Christmas was for my first real Christmas in LA with no like complications. It was great. It was a great Christmas, I must say. Super blessed, super happy.
Shout out to Christmas.
Yeah, shout out to Christmas. But I did give a lot of gifts this year. I think my biggest enemy this year was shipping. Shipping was my biggest enemy this year. I think that's everyone's biggest enemy was shipping and getting stuff to come before Christmas time. I think next year I'll be a little bit more prepared. I'm just going to ask people in October, order it then, and just have it by then. Shipping was the worst.
Oh my God.
But yeah, that's Christmas. But now we have, just shifting away from that great thing. We're back to work, back to business on the A Show. We're going to give you guys the gift of lists, or not really lists, the gifts of best ofs. And of course, if you listen to our best of show part 1, we went over the biggest moments of the year in pro wrestling. And on this week, we're going over the best matches and storylines and all that stuff this week. So where do you want to start, Meelz? You just want to go straight to match of the year? Or is there anything you want to talk about? You want to talk about Raw first, which aired last night on Christmas night?
No, we don't have to talk about Raw.
It was a nothing show. I didn't watch it, so I can't really say much about it. Like
Raw was not something worth talking about. It's several decent matches, but nothing to write home about.
Two things that come out of it before we do start. Two things that come out of it. Dean Ambrose will be out for 9 months, and I think that is not a kayfabe timetable. I think he will actually be out until SummerSlam. Looks like. And there are new tag team champions, which I'm sure was supposed to lead to the Dean Ambrose turn, which is, I'm guessing, going to lead to the Jason Jordan turn, in that Jason Jordan and Seth Rollins are not tag team champions. I have no clue where this is going to go, by the way.
Jason Jordan, I don't know, beats up his dad. I don't know. I like the very slow burn with Jason Jordan. I like it. It's very slow. Yeah. It's very methodical.
Yeah.
It makes seeming more like a scummy jerk kid by every week. So they're taking their time with it, which they don't do with a lot of things. But I like it. I mean, I don't know what it means for the events. It's Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan could not be the most two random people who literally look like they met on the street last week and just say, hey, now we're tag team champions. And tag team champions for what? Because they were kind of just fighting to see who could, fight Samoa Joe, and now they're tag team champions. So where does that leave them?
Yeah, we'll see. I think more than anything, if you want to talk about like Finn Balor being lost, Seth Rollins is lost. I think he is truly a lost character, and I think that actually reflects on what we're going to talk about, which I don't even have one of his matches on this list. We'll just talk about, let's talk about our Wrestler of the Year.
Yeah, let's do that. I feel like there is very few candidates in the pool.
Yeah. There's maybe 5, and I'll give you a friend. I'll give you a friend. Maybe 4. I'll give you a fringe 5, because I think you picked my fringe 5.
Okay. All right. Well, I feel like, in terms of my Wrestler of the Year, I'm going with AJ Styles.
That was my fringe 5.
And I saw it on Twitter, and I just ignored it because I knew we were going to get here.
Yeah.
But my Wrestler of the, and then I was thinking too, like, should I go with Roman Reigns? Like, Roman Reigns is kind of,
he's
has
great.
A strong year.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad that you picked AJ. I wouldn't pick it. Like I said, like I could not in good faith put AJ Styles over a Roman Reigns year with the year that AJ's had, but I'll hear your argument for AJ Styles.
I feel like AJ Styles very consistent all year. Hasn't, I mean, in terms of
wow, I got to go at it. I got
being consistently important throughout this entire year. He's been in, whether he's been in the main event, he was in the main event with a high card on a very notable match on WrestleMania. Throughout the summer, he was U.S. champion. He was sort of engaged in a feud with that. In the fall, he became a contender again, and through the winter. So I think he's had a very consistent year. This isn't like you said you said 2016. You could say that, but I feel like 2017 he's held up pretty strong.
Okay, AJ started the year with the title. He ends the year with the title. That's consistency. Everything in the middle, like I said, and if anyone didn't see it, like I feel like AJ excelled in 2017 in pulling off carry jobs with guys that I don't think that anyone could have the 4-star, 3-star matches that he had. But then you have to realize, like, AJ was bogged down with some pretty terrible feuds in the late summer, early fall that kind of hurt him for me, where it's like he's feuding with Baron Corbin. And he's feuding with Kevin Owens for 3 months.
Which, unfortunately, it was just like a feud that we all expected, I guess, these like 5-star matches out of it. And none of them, they ended up being like really clunky throughout of them, just from booking decisions and just...
I've seen these guys wrestle before. And there was none of that chemistry that they had here. Well, they wrestled last year when AJ got there, and they had better matches. It's like, I feel like that's more of an indictment towards 2017 Kevin Owens than AJ Styles, that he couldn't get a good match out of him. But that Battleground match, Meelz, like, come on. Like, that was one of the worst matches on that card.
With the crazy finish that was like, oh, did this happen?
Yeah, the crazy finish that no one wants to admit was a botched finish, which no one has still admitted was a botched finish.
And then they threw the title right back on him.
Yeah, they threw the title right back on him on Tuesday. And I'm just like, you guys are questioning this? Like, that's not even usually how they book things at WWE, where they have a hot potato in the title like that. But I think go ahead.
I don't know. I just think terms of just...
Did he have an Okada? Did he have an Okada match? That's my thing. Like, did he have a Roman Reigns Braun match? I feel like he had that with Roman Reigns at Extreme Rules in 2016.
I think he had great, despite it all, he still have had great matches with John Cena this year. I think the Elimination Chamber match was also a great match. He had a great match with, whether it was carry job or not, he had a great match with Shane McMahon, Jinder Mahal, Kevin Owens, at least one of those Kevin Owens matches, it might have been a triple threat, was good. He's been solid this entire year. You know what? But I know what you're going to say, so I feel like let's just get to your argument in terms of the wrestler of the year.
I think I'm like again. I don't dispute it at all. I think it's a great choice. Like I said, out of the top 5, even though he's like a fringe 5, if you put him at number 1, I'm not gonna argue it, because I think AJ Styles is for lack of a better term, he is a phenomenal performer, and you could put him in the ring with anybody. But that gets me to my wrestler of the year, which is someone that he literally pulled out the impossible 3 times. And then pulled out the impossible in a lower section of the card more than once, during the summertime. Of course, I'm talking about Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is my wrestler of the year in 2017. I don't think there was anyone better as far as just storytelling. Once we saw Kenny cut the goofy shit out last year and actually get serious and win the G1 and obtain all these accolades, he became just next level. He became a top guy in New Japan. And maybe the 1B or the 1A to Okada's number 1 undisputedly, but I think he just became a star this year. Who else talked about Kenny Omega? He was in Rolling Stone. He was in a lot of different outlets where they were just talking about this match. And of course, I'm talking about Kazuchika Okada and the Kenny Omega's Wrestle Kingdom 11 match, which got 6 stars. It got all the love and the praise, and what have you. And then he did it again in June. And then he did it again in August. In between that, he was the first person to win the New Japan US title in Long Beach. He was someone who had a great G1, all things considered, with matches against Michael Elgin, Tetsuya Naito, with Minoru Suzuki, and a bunch of other people. And then during the fall, he goes against guys like Trent Beretta and Juice and pulls out 4-star matches against guys that no one ever expected could have had those types of matches. Like, for someone who, putting him up against AJ Styles, it's a big thing for him, because he's not an old guy. Like, he's not a older guy. He hasn't been around. He's been around for a long time, but he hasn't been in the public eye this long. But for someone to pull the campaign that Kenny Omega did this year, I don't think there's anyone that you can argue had a better year than he did.
No, I think you make a strong case for Kenny Omega, especially the caliber of matches he's had, the importance he's had over the last year. It hasn't truly dwindled. I mean, it may have dwindled for a moment after the first Wrestle Kingdom, but he came right back.
Yeah.
But it's been a strong year for Kenny Omega. I'll give you that. It's everything. First champion, it's just consistency through the entire year from top to bottom. And just being probably one of the best workers in wrestling, period.
And I'm talking from a standpoint, like, what I will say about AJ Styles, he gets the entertainment part down. He has that down. Maybe that's but it's interesting that for someone who is in a promotion, they're not really too big on like the sports entertainment portion. Kenny Omega brings that, and he brought that to the Okada match.
He brings the drama. He brings it. I watched all 3 matches, and he's bringing the drama. He's bringing you in. He's like, dang, you really feel for him as a face, or at least, and then when he fires up, it's huge. Like it's amazing. It's something that I think we saw more from AJ Styles last year, but now this year he's like the grizzled veteran. He's the guy carrying SmackDown because, John Cena or Randy Orton is, out. So he's the guy carrying SmackDown. He's the guy, better than Jinder, more big-time matches than Jinder, more big-time matches, at least at this point, maybe than Kevin Owens right now. Like, he's the veteran. So it's kind of looking down the other side of the glass. Yeah,
and it's absolutely true. I think that Kenny and AJ, you're looking at not the same guy. I feel like Kenny's more closer to like a older Nakamura than AJ in New Japan in 2015. But like, you're looking at two sides of the same coin. I think they're both great, excellent. They've both been in New Japan, but they're both great guys who get it. And I think that's why I love Omega so much. It's like, he's not just a couple of moves. This is a guy that throughout every single match, he's giving you something different. He's giving you something exciting. And if Kenny's on the card, it's probably going to be the best match of the night. And you're probably going to watch for that. Like, everyone is watching Wrestle Kingdom 12, not because of Naito and Okada, which is going to be a great match. They're watching it to see what Kenny Omega can do with someone who has been in the system, someone who's been in the sports entertainment system, to say, okay, maybe he can do this if he wants to, and Chris Jericho, of course I'm talking about him, but like the people are looking at it like, maybe he can do this. Maybe he might be able to come over and really cross over to America one day. And I think that's why all eyes are on him coming into 2018. Like, he could repeat, realistically.
100%.
If he starts off the year again like he did this year, but I think just everything he's done this year has just been phenomenal. Like, I've loved everything that Kenny Omega's done, even if I've been frustrated with his booking. Like, he is my favorite wrestler right now.
Do we go into runner-ups?
Yeah, I think our runner-up. I think we both agree that our runner-up would be Roman Reigns, the big dog.
Yeah, Roman Reigns had a great year. Also a very consistent year.
Is this the year? Is this the year we stop hating on him? Is this the year people can stop hating on him?
I think next year. I feel like this year it's still kind of lingering out there, but I don't think it's going to take like the 10 years it took for Cena, the 10, 15 years it took for people to start respecting Cena. I don't think we're going to see that with Roman Reigns. I think it's going to start coming very, very soon, and I think maybe it comes in the form of that big WrestleMania match. Who knows? But
people got to get tired of Brock first, I think. People have to get tired of Brock.
I think people are growing tired of Brock, at least. At least the shtick of him holding the championship and, it's not really on Raw. They want to see someone sort of save it. Someone sort of capture it. Someone sort of, attack it and become champion. They want to see, I think people want to see champions back on the main show. So,
yeah. If you think of Roman's statistics this year, like, this is a guy who has not held the big title in a year.
Roman Reigns?
Yeah, he hasn't held the big title.
Over a year.
Over a year.
He's never won the
Universal.
I don't think he's won the Universal title.
Yeah, he's never won the Universal title. Hasn't held a big title in over a year. He's lost more, I think, in this year than I think any of the top guys ever. He's certainly lost more than 5 times. Hello, Steve Austin. I think he's lost almost every pay-per-view match. He's put over Braun Strowman. He's put over Samoa Joe. He's put over countless other talents, even in a win, like Jason Jordan, like an Elias, like people like that. Like he's like, this has been his year where he just makes his case for making great matches. And I remember an interview he had about 2 or 3 weeks ago where he said he's the greatest in-ring talent in the world right now. I wasn't upset at that. I think there's a case for that. That Roman Reigns is one of the best, and he doesn't have to have those Okada Omegas. Not everyone can do that. I'm not expecting everyone to do that. But if you can have a Roman and Braun and keep me glued to a match with a big, hoss like Braun Strowman for more than 15 minutes, I'm there. I'm all in on Roman Reigns. Like I'm a huge fan, and he's won me over. And like you said, a lot quicker than Cena did.
100%.
I mean, speaking of Braun Strowman, like we could make a case that he was like the most improved wrestler of the year.
Oh yeah, I'm going with most improved just because he's brought it he's brought it consistently. He hasn't faltered when he's been given the opportunity to lead and given the opportunity to close and given the opportunity to sort of carry. He's held his own part. I think it's a characteristic that you don't get in a lot of these horses that come to the WWE. And there was an era in the mid 2000s with a bunch of big men, and they were just like large, big men, sort of the Gene Snitsky's, the Heidenreichs, the Nathan Jones and Matt Morgans and all of that other stuff. And he's really like the new, and I said this probably about Luke Harper a couple of years ago, but Braun Strowman has just taken it to another level. Yeah. But he's probably like the new big man. He's like the new big man. He's intimidating. I think he's everything that Vince loves just because he's larger than life, literally. And he's able to move, and he's going to. It shows a lot when a lot of the past big men you talk about. You have the Undertakers, the Goldbergs, the Brock Lesnar's, the Kanes, the Big Shows are applauding and giving a moment to this guy. Yeah. So I think Braun Strowman is easily the most improved of this year.
Yeah, and also he's coming to his own as someone who again, like we say, like he gets it. The facials, the when to do his taunt, when to
timing.
Yeah,
timing is
key. Super key. Like this is a guy who finally got it. I remember seeing him in LA, and after he did his little squash of Elias, he walked back up the ramp. This is off TV at this point. He turns around, does the Braun, and they all pop again. And I was like, he gets it. He's crossed that. He's turned that corner in a way that I feel as though a lot of people that skip NXT never have. He pretty much skipped all of the developmental and went straight up. And it's like sometimes you have to throw these guys to the fire and see if they sink or swim. And he's an example of someone who definitely flourished. And I think that there needs to be more people like that who they take from developmental and just see what they can do.
All right. And in our runner-ups, at least, who did we have in our runner-ups? I had Elias.
I had I had The Miz. And I think that I wanted to make a tie between Braun Strowman and The Miz, but I can't do that because I think even though The Miz was spectacular in 2016, the matches weren't always there. But I think this year the matches were. Come on, the only Miz match I really loved last year was the Dolph Ziggler match.
I understand, but I feel like it depends on really who he's making the best literally out of everything they give him. They gave him Apollo Crews last year, and Apollo Crews was great, but may not have had the best match at SummerSlam. They gave him. I think now they're trusting him. They said, "Hey, we can have Miz with sort of these bigger stars." At WrestleMania, he was against John Cena. He had a great triple threat match with Finn Balor and Seth Rollins. They're giving him matches against Roman Reigns and everybody. So they're giving him things to work with. They're giving him material that maybe he didn't have on SmackDown just because the star power on SmackDown maybe isn't the same.
Yeah.
So I think to me, you know me, I've always been a mistruther. I always knew he had it in him. Yeah. I think it really clicked for him this year because I think he became confident in exactly who he was, and he passed that threshold as a veteran where he realizes that he knows a lot. He realizes he's got more confidence in himself and a lot of things in the ring. He's not running out the way when you go diving over the top ropes. He's taking it full head on.
Yeah.
You know, he's assuming the role as the Miz. This is the Miz. This is probably his prime right now.
Yeah, this is the height of his powers. Absolutely, I think next year he could be in my Wrestler of the Year category, and I'm not even saying that as a troll. Like, he could be. Right. I think giving him the Miz Taraj was excellent. I think that really gave him the presence. Like I say about Jinder Mahal all the time, like these heels need a presence. They need the guys next to him that make him look better just by being who they are. And I think Miz really turned that corner. And I think with Elias, it's so ironic that last night with John Cena, which I did manage to catch his sketch with not sketch, but his promo with John Cena, and I was like, I wanted to change my answer, but I was like, Elias, I absolutely agree with you, Meelz. Like, he's definitely he's up there in top 3 most improved. I think that this was a guy who was getting go away heat a year ago, and now he's the most sought after person. Like, he said that the initials WWE stood for Walk with Elias. Like, who hadn't thought of that? Who hadn't thought of that?
Someone on Twitter had a thought of that, and he was like, "Oh shit, yeah, I'm probably gonna run with that." But it's genius. Like, the guy's making the best out of the moment. He's learning. He's responding on the fly to things. We talked about that CM Punk moment last night, where
awesome.
He's responding to things on the fly, which you want in a WWE superstar, someone who can just think off the top of their head. That's the praise Cena gets, for being able to think very quickly on his toes and on top of his head. And he's having these great matches, consistently great matches with Finn, with Roman, with Cena, with, just...
And they're allowing him to control those matches, too.
Yeah, he's doing well. Shout out to Elias. Walk with Elias, please.
But I guess it's only right that we talk about kind of like the wrestlers that we kind of loathed watching this year.
Yeah.
I hated watching Enzo Amore this year. I feel as though Enzo is going to hurt somebody out there one day. If not himself, he's already done this and he's already hurt himself.
Yeah, I feel like he doesn't do much, which I think is probably for the best. I don't think I don't know. I haven't seen much of Enzo's matches because they've honestly been keeping him out of the ring for, long moments. He hasn't had a one-on-one. He hasn't had a one-on-one in like 2 months. Yeah, he hasn't defended the title in a while. He defends it next week on Raw, I believe. Mm-hmm. But he hasn't had these long stretch of matches. So they're really kind of masking him and hope he improves in the ring, which I really, eventually hope he does one day. He's not someone in his role right now that needs to do much, which is why the heel run sort of suits him, because he doesn't have to do the flashy things. He doesn't have to impress people in the ring. He can sort of do the least and get away with it.
How do you feel about his move to 205 Live? I think that, if anything, his moment when Cass turned on him was one of his best moments, but then it kind of spiraled into him just being the worst of him all time. Like, I don't like his heel run. I think they cut his feet off. I think they cut off a lot of merchandising opportunities making him a heel. And I can't say that, other than getting people to watch and having a couple good promos, I can't say I like his 205 Live iteration either.
But I feel like if he stayed as a face, I feel like people would have got tired of him. People would have got sick of it, because I feel like he doesn't have the in-ring, quality to sort of back up the things that he says. He's someone who I could see losing a lot. He's someone who I could see not holding his own in the ring, and I think the crowd would have eventually turned on him. I think this is the best case scenario, for him at this point. And he's a natural heel. The guy talks about going out with The Weeknd and, recording music and being out in Hollywood and flowing and flaunting around. He's a natural heel. I think it's probably the best for him. Now, when you say Enzo Amore, the person I think who's least improved, and he didn't have a lot of,
this is evil.
Sort of cut short.
I saw this and I was like, this is an evil choice for you to say.
His year was cut short, but Big Cass, I think Big Cass was someone who I think they wanted to get something out of late last year when they was throwing him in title opportunities and these big matches solo and things like that. But I don't think he's responded. I know he almost got cut from NXT a couple years ago, and then he got into a team with Enzo and things started to look up and he started improving in the ring. But I feel like he could be improving a lot more. I think, to me, him as a heel didn't work. He just looked uncomfortable. Plus, I don't trust a heel with dimples. That shit is weird.
I don't trust a nigga with his theme music, bro.
Yeah, he's and big ass. Remember that? Remember that?
Yeah, big ass.
I don't think he's improved. I think he's like, he's not fast. He's
Braun Strowman is faster than him, and he's chunkier.
Braun Strowman is fast. I think when I looked at the Undertaker, even the way Undertaker moves, he moves at the same speed of Big Cat. I don't know. It's just, to me, you gotta be extraordinary. You gotta bring some more stuff to the table. He literally looks like any other. If he wasn't 7'3" tall, if he wasn't 7 foot tall, he'd be nothing to me, because he doesn't possess the quality in the ring. He doesn't possess the quality as a superstar that it's superstar. He doesn't show much of anything.
Yeah,
Big Cass is my least improved. I think he needs to make a concerted effort in this off time to improve, not only just in the ring, but with his persona and with everything else.
And I think in his absence, he has to see Braun Strowman directly after he got injured and what happened to him, and then look at what happened to Enzo directly after and be like, woof, I really need to step it up. Enzo might not have excelled in the ring, but I feel as though they gave him 205 Live. It was almost like not even really a demotion to him. It was a promotion, because he's on that show almost every week, and he's getting
his faces all over the show.
Yeah,
he's
all over it.
Card. He's a champion. He's everything.
Yeah, he takes the belt everywhere. He got a belt before Cass did. Which is something I would have never, 5 years ago, I would have never said that would have happened, but it did. And then you look at Braun Strowman. That was supposed to be Big Cass in those matches with Brock Lesnar and shit like that. It was supposed to be Big Cass and Roman Reigns, but now it's like, he's damaged goods when he gets back, Meelz. I don't think he's gonna have that.
This isn't one of those cases where it's Dean Ambrose injured and then the heart becomes fonder and it's we're great to see Dean Ambrose come back. I don't think we feel the same way about Big Cass.
I don't.
I mean, he can come back or not.
I do not.
Yeah. My runner-up was Nia Jax. I think Nia Jax, as good as she is as a person, to me, I like her personally. I love her as a person. She's great.
Yeah.
In the ring, I don't think, she's done much to improve either.
Not feeling it. I agree. Not feeling it in the ring.
She's had these long matches. I mean, I think her gauntlet with that ended with her versus Sasha Banks, where she lost again, which is weird as shit.
Yes.
But her gauntlet was probably her best showing ever. But I think she's not entitled, but she thinks just because she's big, she may not have to work as hard. She really just has to focus on being big.
Yeah.
I think she needs to work a little bit harder in the ring, especially if you could literally have anybody else come up who's big and it's immediately outshining her. You have if they decide tomorrow they want to bring Karma back, it's done for Nia Jax.
Or fuck that, bring Piper from the Mae Young Classic up. Yeah,
if they want to bring her, it's slow for Nia Jax. What she needs to bring something else to the table.
I think as soon as Asuka got there, it was quiet for her. To be honest.
Yeah, because eventually it's gonna be. But I don't know. It's just.
And then she did that weird.
What they're doing with her.
She did that weird disappearing act thing, and then I think you even said at the time, I don't know why she's doing that for it, because it's not like she's gonna get better as a wrestler. She's not getting pushed for a reason. It's the reason is you haven't hit that level yet, like Alexa Bliss or someone else has.
Right.
But my runner up was Jinder Mahal, also Nia Jax. I agree with you on there with that there, but I just think that other than Jinder becoming a better presence and a better promo in some aspects, as in the ring he was just a body. A lot of times he was just a body. It was look at the Shinsuke Nakamura match from SummerSlam, and where it's just Shinsuke barely selling for this guy, and then he sandbagged the Colossus. Remember that?
Yeah.
Where he dropped Shinsuke, and it was just someone who was better in the ring would have garnered more respect from Shinsuke. He did not respect him whatsoever. And it's you can compare that to when Shinsuke has matches against John Cena. No one just saw it in him. And then it's the AJ Styles match from earlier this month at Clash of Champions was even worse. Not worse, but it was he just has no heat to his matches. And even when they gave him the belt, he never improved. And I feel as though even though Enzo's actively awful in the ring, Jinder had a lot of opportunities to be better, and he just kind of stayed mediocre. And Enzo was just kind of always bad. So I guess that's why I chose that.
100%. I see that case.
And I mean, speaking of people who just didn't kind of live up to the hype, I feel as though there were a lot of wrestlers that were overrated this year.
All right, let's see. To me, my pick for the most overrated is Randy Orton.
And a week after I give a hearty, like a fucking big speech on how much people are not putting respect on his name, you do this to me.
I feel like Randy Orton is really just coasting by, and I think he's good when he has to be, but other than that, he's not. And I think this year we haven't seen a notable Randy Orton match. His feuds have been bogus. Everything, he hasn't really delivered at all. For someone who's 12 years, not even 12 years, he's got to be like 15 years in now. He's just as long as Cena.
Yeah.
We're still talking about the moment John Cena debuted on Raw. We're not doing that for Randy Orton. We're not talking about his first match with Hardcore Holly on SmackDown. I remember that shit, but we're not parading that around.
We're not talking about
he doesn't care.
We're not talking about RNN, those vignettes and shit. We're not doing that.
No, we're not talking about that. We're not talking about there's no like 16-time, there's no big match that he's had. He won the championship, and then it was kind of it.
Yeah.
So it's I don't know.
And I think I think you mean it in a sense of it, and it goes the same for my choice too, where it's like these guys are getting opportunities over like guys that even within their same booking that are better than them work rate wise, and they're still getting main event pushes and being put in main events of shit, which is ironic for my choice because my guy is Randy Orton's best friend and pretty much the Japanese equivalent of him. Shinsuke Nakamura was my pick. I think he is the Japanese Randy Orton. He is just someone who I loved, of course, in New Japan, but I was also aware of his ceiling. I was aware of like what types of shows he thinks are important and what types of shows he'll try against, what opponents he'll try against. And ever since he got in the main roster this year, I wasn't surprised at the effort that was given. Like Shinsuke has become a lot of times his entrance, his weird shit, and maybe his interviews, and then nothing else. But do I think that he is unhappy? I don't think he's unhappy at all. Like, I think he loves where he's at right now. He wrestles literally maybe once or twice a month on SmackDown, gets to travel the world and hang out with Sin Cara, and then give his all whenever he gets for someone who's had great matches with the old guard. He had a great match against Randy Orton. He had a great match against John Cena. But the thing is, like, when it's Jinder Mahal, I know you don't want to, you probably don't want to job to the guy, but he made Jinder look like he made him look worse twice.
Goof.
He made him look like a complete idiot twice. And I was like, a lot of it has to do with Shinsuke. You're supposed to put over the new guys. And it's like, it's the same type of shit.
He's still a new guy in a sense. I don't even know why they gave him that sort of responsibility. It was kind of a weird booking decision, especially if you're going to have him lose twice.
Well, they had
them over.
They had no more. I feel like what it was is they had no. Remember there was that time that period in the summertime where it couldn't be AJ, it couldn't be KO, it couldn't be Sammy. It had to be Nakamura and nobody else. So that's why we thought he was going to win. And then it kind of like after Nakamura, he didn't really have anything, did he?
Not really.
He went straight to Brock after that. But it was like it was just this weird gray area where it's like Shinsuke isn't really booked to be like an idiot, but he isn't booked to be like really cool or special either. And then it's hard to say that, and I'll just say this, like it's hard to tell people now if they look at Shinsuke to love him as like why they should love him as much as we did before he came in. It's a hard argument to have, and it's like
I 100% agree.
It's a super hard argument to like. No one, if someone doesn't get it, I can't make them get it by making them watch SmackDown every week. They're not gonna get it, and like I feel like the Shinsuke from the Sami Zayn match 2 years ago almost he's not there anymore. I feel like he's pretty much coasting like Randy Orton.
Yeah, I think so too. My runner-up is a hot take. I feel like both of our runner-ups are hot takes because my runner-up was Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is, I think he's recovered in the latter half of the year with his team with Dean Ambrose, but I think otherwise, he hasn't really been up to the speed that he was. I think he's sort of, I don't want to say he's past his prime, but it feels like it.
He's bulked up a lot. He's like he looks heavier than he used to be. Like
it's definitely heavier because I think it's sort of to combat the sort of injuries. He's a lot heavier, so he's not moving around as quickly. He's not moving around as fluid. He is moving around, but he's not moving around as fluid or quickly. And I think just in general, there was a conversation on the Stone Cold podcast a couple of months ago regarding WrestleMania about Seth Rollins, and I think it got a lot under a lot of people's skin about Austin's comments about Seth Rollins, because he pretty much said that he's not like, he's good, but he's not like a star. And that's sort of kind of how I felt this year.
Yeah.
It came to like a slow realization that maybe he's not the guy. And I think 2 years ago we were arguing between 1A, 1B with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Now it's even more clear to be Roman Reigns than anything else. I think maybe it's been a bad year with feuds, but I feel like he also hasn't responded in the way that we thought he would out of his face turn, because when he was a heel and he was doing all this cool shit, it was amazing. And I was like, just wait till he turns face. It's going to be like Jeff Hardy times 10. Or it was going to be something great because he's just he's a guy with a cool moveset. He's a guy who's just overall cool in general. And he just hasn't responded to me this year.
Yeah, I think he's lost. And like I said earlier, like, you want to talk about somebody that's lost, like, Finn wouldn't be in any of our categories because even he still maintains being over, and he still maintains not losing, and he still maintains like not looking like a complete other than the Kane shit, which is literally like a week or two. He's always maintained. He's always looked strong. He's always looked cool. They put Seth on the mic, and all of that shit goes out the window. Like, so I completely agree. Like, he is overrated, and same with Shinsuke. And I think this is the theme of this category. It's like, it's hard for us to give an argument for why you should love these guys, because what we see in them, they're not there anymore. And my runner-up was Kevin Owens. And I've been saying this for a while, since last year. Kevin Owens has not wowed me. He has not given us a great match in a very long time. I feel like he kind of ran through like the Cesaro, John Cena matches, and then it was like, let me put you in a headlock for 5 minutes at a time during a match that's supposed to be a blood feud. And while he had a good match against Shane, which was 40 minutes long, and I felt it was way too long, that was the only highlight of his year was headbutting Vince McMahon. The whole rest of the year, he was chasing the fucking U.S. title. I think the U.S. title brings down everybody, because if you look at all of this like shit that I'm talking about, like the reason why AJ isn't in my top 5, or he's not in my immediate wrestler of the year, is because he had a U.S. title feud. Like, that title has killed a lot of people's pushes. But like Kevin Owens is like, I don't even like his promos anymore. I feel like Sammy outdoes him on a weekly basis as a heel.
I think he needs a shift in his character, and that's not saying to turn face or anything, but I just think he just needs. I think the general the KO show, everything moving forward, and him just being this smarky, annoying, sort of infuriating heel. I think he just needs a sort of shift in his character. I think it's something like Jericho used to do, where he used to reinvent himself. I think that's what Kevin Owens needs to do.
And he tried to do that with the U.S. title turn when he cut off his beard and shit like that. I thought that was a very Chris Jericho-esque thing to do, but it was way too Chris Jericho. It was like, that's literally what he did.
And then I think it just evolved into the same thing anyway. Like, it ended up just becoming... He was trying to become this, like, oh, I'm this American, but I'm not really American sort of thing. But then it kind of just devolved back into just regular Kevin Owens again.
Yeah.
So it kind of, I feel like he just needs to get a grasp on something new. He needs new motivations, just a new change of pace.
I think they're going to end up cribbing from his ROH run. I don't know if you watched him when he was in ROH. When they fired him and he went away for a while, and then he came back, and then he kind of went against the authority, and he became a face. I think they might be pushing and angling towards that for Kevin Owens pretty soon, with Sammy being his partner in that. Especially with Shane turning, it makes a lot of sense for it. Like, I don't think they can keep KO heel very longer. A lot of people are about to flip, in my opinion, that I feel are going to flip really soon. I do think a change of character is necessary for him, but I also do think he needs to flip allegiances, because his heel act is getting stale. Because now I don't even feel like people are cheering for him to come out anymore. I feel like he's just kind of out there, And they've done a lot of things to cut him off of the legs, as far as like making him do the Hell in a Cell match right before Survivor Series and then not having him on the card. Like shit like that was just counterproductive to him. But I just don't think even his matches this year kind of wowed me. And I don't know, Kevin Owens, I hope he has a better 2018. Do you want to get in the match of the year? Let's go ahead and get in the match of the year.
Let's get in the match of the year, then.
Because I think we have a consensus, and I think there's a lot of things to say about the match of the year. Just in general, I think we'll just say it right now. Both of our matches of the year didn't come from WWE. I don't think I don't think I would even put a WWE match anywhere. Not even main roster match. I think wouldn't have been my WWE match. I think you did have a main roster match as yours, but it was a weird year for matches of the year within that company.
I want to say, and this is something that I guess has been a running theme of what we talked about for this entire show thus far, because we talked about things just not living up to what it is, and it really being, Wrestler of the Year was really a race between these like 5 guys, and it wasn't really this heavy competition between anybody else. We talked about these feuds and the booking decisions and these moments and things like that, and what they brought up. It's been really... We've had great years in WWE. I remember 2004, a very significant year. 2005, 2006, great year, great moments, great matches. This year didn't really hold up, and maybe it's the fact that, WWE isn't at its full power because, Brock Lesnar is like, he's not the Phenom anymore. He's 4 years into this, like, 4-year contract, and it seems like he's just sort of fading off. And
he's stagnant.
John Cena isn't there, and now we're depending on, we're doing everything sort of for Roman Reigns, but we're not really sort of accompanying any like subsidiary stars. We're not doing anything with Finn Balor or Seth Rollins or The Miz or Randy Orton or Shinsuke Nakamura or anything. So it's kind of like a year marred by like these sort of wild booking decisions. But I think the wrestling business in just 2017 needed something to sort of jolt it, and really the only consensus we had for match of the year was Kenny Omega versus Okada at New Japan Dominion.
Yeah, I think it's a match that is an hour.
It's worth the.
It's worth it.
I sat there for the watch.
It's worth the hour.
I did not watch it the first time I watched this match. As much as you guys, said, "Oh my God," I remember everyone talking about this match, but once I saw the 6 stars, I was just like, "All right, well, I'm not going to watch it," just because I was like, "All right, everyone's kind of like, everyone's a little crazy."
And that got almost 7 stars. If Dave almost gave that one 7 stars, he said he rated that better than the Wrestle Kingdom match, the Dominion match.
Yeah, so I was just like, all right, so we're kind of taking away. To me now, the star formula has really no sort of
meaning.
Yeah, it's lost a little bit of a meaning if you give something 6 stars. So you're saying it's the greatest match of all time, but it is what it is. We're in a year of hyperbole. It's a great match.
Yeah, I think it's close, and I'll go one further. And I know you just say year of hyperbole. I'll say that this is as close to a perfect match as you can get without any, without fucking Hulk Hogan, or not even Hulk Hogan, without Stone Cold popping out and Stone Cold stunnering somebody.
Now, when you say that, do you mean from? Because I feel like I've seen near perfect matches, and I just want to know if this sort of in the realm of it. And these are all WWE matches, but
yeah.
I look at Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. I look at the Austin versus Rocks and things like that. Do you feel like this sort of holds up in that sort of category?
I'll give you one more, and this is my favorite match of all time: Stone Cold and Steve Austin versus Bret Hart, the submission match.
Mm-hmm. WrestleMania 13,
where it effectively not only put both guys over, but made one guy a star. Now, Wrestle Kingdom 11 made Kenny a topic, and then the Dominion match made him a star. Whereas it wasn't so much about him doing a back body drop through a table to get a GIF made the next day. It was the moments of storytelling that he did, where it was he effectively turned into a face. Where when he wouldn't give up, when he kicked out of the Rainmaker, which no one, like barely anyone kicks out of, when he that part, and everyone talks about this part, but it's such a strong moment in the match where Okada goes to give him the Rainmaker and he falls to his knees because he's tired. They both fall because they're so tired. That put him in the next level for me. Whoever made that spot, it was like, I watched that part and I was like, this is why I love this shit.
Very nuanced. It's very, like, something you don't typically expect.
Yeah, and I was like, that moment, I watched it again over the weekend, I was like, this is why I love watching this shit. Because I love moments where it's like, it's more than just, you know, everyone's like, oh, you're a grown man watching this shit and this shit's fake, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, when you watch this from moment zero to moment, like, even the video package meant a lot. Where it's like telling these guys stories where it's like Kenny goes into exile after the Wrestle Kingdom match to find himself, and he's like, he's sure he can beat him this time. To the point where it's like Kenny finally hits him with his finisher, but he gets his leg on the ropes because Okada knows if he gets hit by it, he's not getting up from it. And to a point where it's like these two guys know each other so well that it plays off the first match where it's like they're reversing every single thing they had at each other, and like it was just the back and forth of it was great. It's like you could show Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada to someone who doesn't watch it, who's someone who's not involved, someone who doesn't know who either of these guys are, and they'll come out being not only a fan of the business, but they'll come out as a fan of both of those guys and they'll want to see more. And that's why it's perfect to me.
It's an amazing match. When I watched it for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I began to see everything what everyone was talking about. And I think just to me, what matters was the urgency of it all.
Yeah, it was urgent.
When you reach to a point and it's just like, okay, you're trying your best to beat someone, and maybe to me, you know, the kickouts and things like that have gotten to, you know, just out of control. But everything just felt perfect. Everything just felt urgent. Like you want to hit your finisher on a guy, you know, how many times to see if you can really put him out. Everything, the story, the part where he felt his knees was just an amazing part.
Yeah.
Like it's just everything sort of built. It's like an entire package. It's like it's a fantastic wrestling match.
Yeah, I think, you know, this is the only thing one of the only things me and you were unanimous about in this whole year.
I couldn't give it to anything in WWE.
Yeah, I
just felt like they didn't. It just wasn't brought. I mean, my runner-ups are all WWE. Don't get me wrong, because I watched a couple of matches that you sent me to watch, and I was just like, okay, well, you know, like they're cool, but I don't think anything to the level of this match.
Yeah, but I'm glad that you watched this and you felt the same thing, because you're not like, and I will hope that next year you would get more into it. Like, you're not like super New Japan watcher. But
nah, just because like I don't want to say it's because I don't have the time, but I also feel like it's so like, to me, it's hard for me to get into like new things. It's just a thing with me. It's just it's just a thing with me. I don't watch movies. I don't do anything, so it's like it's hard.
But I mean, let's get into the runner-ups. I feel like we spent like 10 minutes gushing over this match. Our runner-ups. My runner-up is a WWE match. I thought about switching it. I think if I had a choice to switch it, it would probably be Okada versus... but it's hard for me to watch this match, but it's Okada versus Shibata. It's hard for me to watch the match because that's the match, of course, where Shibata headbutt Okada so hard.
It's brutal. I actually watched that match. It's very brutal. Like, it's like painful.
He headbutt him so hard that he gave himself basically CTE. He gave himself brain damage, and he's Shibata is now retired. It's hard for me to put that match that high. Retired. He's done. He couldn't move. Like when he got back to the back of the locker room, he couldn't move. Like he was I think he was paralyzed or some sort. Like there was some type of paralysis. He just now started walking a couple of months ago, but he can no longer wrestle.
Holy shit!
Yeah, he headbutt him so hard that he started bleeding down his head. Like one of the greatest like visuals of the year as far as wrestling goes, but I couldn't put that. I couldn't, for any type of respect, I couldn't put that up there because of what happened. It's just it's hard for me. But my runner-up was Tyler Bate versus Pete Dunne Part 2 and NXT TakeOver Chicago, and I think that understated or underrated thing that we haven't talked about was how great the WWE UK division has been all year for a group of people that were so underrepresented and so underutilized.
To be honest with you, I feel like it's still a two-man division.
Yeah, it is. It's between these two. It is between
these two because I thought these two. When you talk about the UK Classic, not the UK Classic. I'm mixing the Mae Young Classic and the UK tournament. The UK tournament, their finals match was incredible. When you talk about this NXT TakeOver Chicago match, incredible. I watched their match on NXT last week. It was the first time NXT really went over that hour mark. It went an hour and 12 minutes. And that was because of this match between Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, which to me I don't think it's going to be in a lot of people's matches of the year just because it came so late, but it was a fucking incredible match.
Yeah, I thought of the three, and I kind of rate the three of their matches with the Okada Omega matches, where part 2 is undisputedly the best to me. 3 is next, and 1, like, if you go back and look at 1, you're like, man, they could have took it up to another notch with part 1.
Yeah, I think Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne, incredible match. I think I feel like it's kind of, and I was looking at their match last week, and I was like, yo, this is kind of like the future of professional wrestling.
It is. Mm-hmm.
And I felt like, and I was like, dang, like, to me, I always like the UK style. I'm very, like, I like the methodical things. I like the little, I like
holds and catches and
yeah. I love that. I love strategy in sort of a match, not just doing things for the sake of doing things. And this had all of that, and then it had some more. It took that style, it took the UK style to another level. It incorporated so many different styles of wrestling. It was just amazing.
Yeah, and they went high flying. They did the holds. They did the strong style stuff. I think more that, like, damn. And if we had like a rising star thing, I would give that to Pete Dunne. Like, Pete Dunne to me is someone who they could put on the main roster tomorrow, regardless of his size, regardless of his look, and he would get over. He would get over more than whoever the fuck they're pushing right now. I
think
put that
his
on everything.
general look, he just looks interesting. He just looks cool. He just looks. I mean, I don't know what they do with him from here on out, but he looks like a star. WWE had a list on their .com this week of like 8 stars who could have come to the main roster in 2018, and Pete Dunne was one of them.
Yeah. Just as far as that match goes, like they had Chicago by the palm of their hands at that show. NXT had all of Chicago that show anyway. I think that that was the best takeover show, the best takeover card of the year. But I really love that match. What was your runner-up?
My runner-up was AJ Styles versus John Cena, and I think it's really an incredible match when you think about what was on the line. John Cena, the 16th championship win that was eluding him. AJ Styles, just sort of guy who's beat John Cena all the time. Like, John Cena at that point had not managed to successfully get a clean win over AJ Styles. You had that sort of backdrop in it. You had the fact that it was in Royal Rumble 2017 San Antonio, 60,000 people viewing this match. So that adds another sort of thing. That adds another, layer to this. You had the fact that it was just an incredible match. I mean, it wasn't the match that they had before in SummerSlam. I understand that match was incredible. I was there.
5 stars.
Tell me.
5 stars.
But
by the way,
this had so much on the line. They managed to. It was a match that, you saw the SummerSlam match and you're just like, man, this added another layer to it. It added sort of another atmosphere to the match that sort of, to me, distinguishes it from that match that they had at SummerSlam. It's another layer. Some things that were on the line that meant so much more. It's like really the best match either of them have had all year.
I'll agree with that. I will agree with that. Well, I think Cena had a stronger, a comparable match with Nakamura on SmackDown. I thought that Nakamura match it was 11 minutes.
The Styles Cena match, because I watched it like last week and I was just like, man, I think just the atmosphere of it all is what sort of separates it from that Nakamura Cena match, and it's all the elements that are sort of brought up into it, because it was really just a perfect storm.
I'm trying to think if I was mad that Cena won that night. I think you know what I was mad at, that win didn't do anything because he lost it literally like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, but I feel like I think they were trying to tell a story with AJ Styles, and I think they were trying to tell a story with
Cena.
Yeah. No, not even sort of with Cena, but just the fact that he wasn't. They're trying to tell the story with Shane McMahon and get there. Yeah. But AJ Styles at that point hadn't really received his like one-on-one title match, and then when he got it sort of shit out of luck. Like, so they were trying to build that intensity between Styles and in McMahon, and they're sort of building towards that. But I could see that. I actually have I created like a small top 5, and it includes the Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate and match.
What is it?
And these aren't all just because I wanted to pick a little bit of different things. So, like, my top 5, I think number 5 for me is Finn Balor versus AJ Styles at TLC.
Excellent match.
I think it was an excellent match. I think it's a great use of Finn, great use of AJ. It was a match that said, hey, you don't need a story all the time just to have this great moment and this great match. And the moment at the end of it was just incredible. I think the match itself was incredible. I think it told a story. It was a rare, high-profile Finn Balor win, which is something we usually don't get, and the show of respect afterwards.
A match that they never came back to, which is still perplexing, but go ahead.
Yeah, and then I think another match I had, which was probably the best women's match of the year, to me, was between Asuka and Ember Moon at NXT Brooklyn. And I literally just watched this match just over again because I just had to, like, convince myself. But it was a thrilling match. It's the best that Ember Moon has ever looked. It's the most competitive match Asuka has ever, been in. I think the moment they told a story with the arm of Ember Moon where it was sort of, she wasn't able to put everything into it. She hits the clips. It doesn't take out Asuka. So she's wondering what next. And there's this incredible super kick that literally you think it's over. And I never thought a super kick would end the match at that point. But she literally kicked the shit out of Asuka.
That match kind of got soiled for me after Ember won the title.
Yeah, I understand that. It really did, because it did the same for me too, because it made it look like Ember Moon couldn't. She had to leave the division for anything to sort of happen for Ember Moon. But that last finishing sequence as well, I'm talking about, like, the Juji Gatami armbar, and Ember Moon, she's trying to fight out of it. She counters it into a pin, but Asuka knows she's going to counter into a pin, so she flips her over into the Asuka lock, and then she's wrenching on the arm and wrenching on the neck and everything like that. It's just a moment that was, to me, probably one of the best women's matches I've ever seen, ever. And we've seen a lot of firsts over the last year. We've seen, the first Money in the Bank. We're going to see the first, Women's Royal Rumble. We saw the Hell in a Cell last year, but this was really, this was quality. Yeah. Like, this was incredible.
I love that match too. The thing is, it kind of was sandwiched between that title that title swap and War Games, and I feel like it kind of got lost in the shuffle. But I think I went like 4.5 on that one. I love that match.
You want to know? It's also the fact that I was there.
You were there. It was
also the fact that I was there, and I NXT Takeover Brooklyn to me is the best show of the year. Just because I think.
Did I say War Games? It wasn't that match. It was a title switch after that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's just, I think everything sort of clicked on that show from top to bottom. We had the Gargano versus Cien Almas match, which was incredible. You had Sanity get their tag title win in an incredible moment, and then you had, Red Dragon show up. And people thought that was it for the night. Hideo Itami versus Aleister Black, very brutal, very hard-hitting. Hideo Itami's last major moment in NXT.
Yikes. Some might argue last major moment in the company.
Damn, that would be whack. You had the Asuka versus Ember Moon match, and then you had Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre, which honestly, I think the crowd was on a high the entire night, and no one was anticipating that match. It was a fair match, but we knew what was coming at the end, and it delivered. Yeah,
it did. I think my show of the year, before we get back to your top 5, was no,
that was it. That was pretty much it.
Oh yeah,
we've already covered off.
My show of the year was New Japan Dominion. I think it had that. Of course, it had Okada Omega 2, but it also had the Naito Tanahashi match and all those other matches up there, which were fucking. I mean, if that was a 6-star, that card had at least 2 5-star matches below that, and I think that was one of the strongest shows of the year.
Do you feel like WWE could achieve that sort of same quality show? I don't know if it's just because of the way
on Takeover, on Takeover, not.
It would have to be like a strictly wrestling show. It would have to be like not so much for the entertainment, but we're like brutalizing each other in this ring. I don't know.
they've come. Well, here's the thing with WWE pay-per-views this year. They've been 2-match shows where they've built these 2 matches, and everything else kind of falls by the wayside. If they can have a stellar card of matches where we all care about them and we all care about who wins and loses, and I mean, I don't even care about the sports entertainment aspect. Just make me care. I feel like that was a problem with Clash of Champions. Like, I didn't care. Like, all these matches were thrown together. I mean, same with SummerSlam or Survivor Series. Like, it was thrown together. Like, SummerSlam at least had a couple of those matches where it was like some real feuds going on. But I think it's possible if they can just make us care. Like, I can foresee like WrestleMania being the closest to this Dominion card if they can build it in the next 4 or 5 months correctly. But 2018, who knows? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff that could happen. I think that it's absolutely possible, and it all pops off at Royal Rumble. And speaking of Royal Rumble, we got the female Rumble coming up. Who is your favorite female wrestler of the year? I think we had a consensus on that too.
Asuka, like, you can't bet against Asuka this year. I don't know. She's had the best matches. She's had the longest title reign. She's done everything. She's been the workhorse of NXT. She's pretty much done anything. I almost wanted to give it to Alexa Bliss in spite of Asuka, just because.
I'd argue that Alexa's more of a workhorse. Remember, Asuka didn't only wrestled every 3 months.
This is true.
She's not a workhorse.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, it's a different type of once you've obtained that level of, I don't know, that air of just like, all right, well, it's pretty much it's the Asuka sweepstakes at that point. It was like, all right, who's next up in line? Who gets that match?
Yeah.
Alexa Bliss has worked hard this year. She walked in the year, SmackDown Women's Champion. She's leaving the year Raw Women's Champion, and has had, other multiple title reigns since then. I think, it's been a great year for Alexa Bliss. I think in terms of just like, because it felt like a very 4 horsewomen-y sort of thing for the past 2 years.
Yeah.
And she's really just someone who's just like outside of the box. And she's someone who's delivering on the mic. She delivers in the ring when she can. I think people talk about her in the ring. People talk about her in ring work. I think it suits her character. I think she's obviously doing this on purpose.
You think so? I think she was the same when she was on NXT. Like, she's not improved to me. I
think she takes, like, she stopped doing the flip off the top rope. So her finisher is now a DDT. I think she's purposely taking away from her moveset. I've seen what Alexa Bliss can actually do. I've seen her. She's a formula gymnast. She can do all these crazy things. I've seen her do.
You're mizzing her right now. You're a mark for her, like you're a mark for the Miz. You're mizzing her. You just said I've seen what she can do. We've all seen it. It's not a lot. She can't do a lot.
Listen, no, she can do. I'm telling you, she can do more than what she's letting on. I'm 100% sure.
I would put Bianca Belair over her right now.
Bianca Belair's still a little green, but she's pretty good.
I don't think any main roster women were up there for me this year.
They all kind of was very complacent, and then like I think they really cut the legs out of Bayley, which was to me it still blows my mind because Bayley on NXT was really good.
Bayley would. It's not hard to say Bayley was good in a house of 1,000 rather than a house of 40,000. Like, it's not hard to. I mean, some people just don't
she's
translate.
Beloved still. Don't get me wrong. She's beloved still, but at the same time, I feel like
she's a jobber.
Yeah, and there's so much that you could give to her, and there's so much things that people can become invested in. You talk about WWE telling these stories. There's no woman on that 4 horsewomen stable who you could tell better stories with than Bayley.
Yeah,
like it's
criminal. It's criminal, and I feel like she ran into the same problem that Sami Zayn did earlier this year, and now he's a heel. And I'm like praying to God they don't do that to her, because you don't make her heel. You just fix it. Like you just fix the problem.
Yeah.
You can't turn her to make it work. Like they did with Enzo. Shit, they did with Enzo too. Like, you can't just turn people and expect it to work. If Bayley turns heel, I think it might be the worst thing ever. And I feel like in 3 months we're going to look back at this podcast and she's going to be a successful heel. But I still would think that they're going to miss out on a lot of money by not making her that John Cena, esque character where, I don't know. I just feel like they're missing a lot of money. They're missing out on a lot of money with Bailey to a point where it's just like my female wrestler of the year was Asuka, but my runner up was Ember Moon, because even when Asuka wasn't the focal point, or when she wasn't in the public eye, or she was injured or whatever, like Ember Moon people forget she's a really great wrestler. The only problem is she has no character. And I think that's another, like, all she is.
That's why I couldn't give it to her.
Yeah, like, all she is contacts and weird hair and her love for anime. Like, she showed up to which takeover was it? Was it Takeover in Brooklyn with those fucking flare jeans on? And I was just like, she has no swag, bro.
Asuka's going away party.
Yeah. She looked like she was straight from the 80s. But yeah, like that, I don't know. Like, it's just a all around weird year for women, but also a really good and progressive one. Like, I'm not really sure where.
I feel like I don't know. I think it was progressive in the sense that, okay, now we're giving them the attention they deserve, but I don't know how. It's like, it's WWE progressive, where they're like shoving the fact that it's progressive down your throat instead of it actually just being progressive on its own.
Yeah.
It's not these like incredible moments and these incredible matches that are just happening organically. They're like, oh, didn't you know it was a women's, Royal Rumble? Oh, this is the first one. Oh, there's a women's Money in the Bank. We're finally doing that now. Like, like they're, it feels less progressive from an organic standpoint, more progressive from a marketing standpoint. It was like, oh, now we can sell this to girls too, like blah blah blah. Like, it's and then I think just the rosters itself is kind of wonky. I don't know. The female rosters are there's about 11 women on each roster, and only 4 of them got used this year.
And only 4 of them matter. Yeah. Essentially, if you're not Sasha Banks or Bailey, not even Bailey. If you're not Sasha Banks or Charlotte or Naomi or Alexa Bliss, no one gives a shit. So
yeah,
those are the only people, that get pushed.
My feel-good moment of the year, and we don't have this on, was Naomi winning that championship
at WrestleMania. Yes,
not even WrestleMania, and I think the pay-per-view before.
Yeah,
like, just because, like, I have a niece who watches wrestling. Black girl, watches wrestling, big fan. Everybody else, it's good to see like representation. And I know I didn't want to like become this to become that, but it just felt good, especially when everyone chanted "You deserve it," because I think at that point she did, and I think it just felt good to me. It felt good as a person of color watching it and just saying like, okay, now young black girls who are into wrestling can do this too.
And they've continued that push, even with her putting her next to Sasha. Like, I went to Toys R Us and she had a huge like banner that was Naomi, and I was like, that's fucking huge. Like, and props, as much shit as we give them for stuff like the Susan G. Komen Ultimate Warrior collaboration and shit like that, like, sometimes WWE does get it right. Their PR, they do get it right sometimes. Their marketing does get it right sometimes, and I would agree that would be my feel good moment of the year. Also, I mean, Naomi, she works her ass off. Yeah, 100%. She was absolutely bad in the ring, but she reformed herself and kind of refocused after in 2016, and she's great. I think she's one of my favorite faces on the roster too. Like, she's a great face.
Yeah, just a confident someone who doesn't seem just like she doesn't seem face. You can only do so much things without seeming like an idiot.
Yeah,
but like she doesn't seem that way. She's generally cool. Her entrance is amazing. Like, her ability in the ring lives up to it. Like, she's authentic. So that's probably the best part about her.
Shout out to her, and I guess shout out to 2017. It was an amazing. I mean, good and bad. It was an amazing year for pro wrestling, and 2018 is already shaping up to be absolutely fucking crazy. Even just in a week, next week we have Wrestle Kingdom 12, which will air next Thursday morning. I don't know if I would stay up to watch that, but
I mean, you got it better than me. You got it better than me.
It starts.
Staying up for you is like 12 a.m. 11
It starts
o'clock?
it starts at 2 a.m. here. So
really?
It'll end. Wrestle Kingdom will end right before I wake up to go to work. So I'll probably just watch the VOD when I get to work that morning. But
how long is Wrestle Kingdom? I can probably
it's 5 hours.
It.
It's 4 to 5 hours. Yeah, it's a long show.
I can probably catch some of it at work.
Yeah, it literally ends as soon as I like probably hit the bed. I'll probably be watching the pre-show and then I'll probably go to bed. But that's in a week. Tomorrow, obviously, we're coming out a little bit earlier so that we can enjoy our holidays. But SmackDown is coming on tonight There is a New Year's Raw and SmackDown that come on next week that we will be running down for you next week. So we'll see you in 2018.
Yo.
Yeah.
Happy New Year, my friend.
It's been a Happy New Year, everybody. It's been a great year. I guess we get to start the show off at the top of the year and see how far we go, since Meelz doesn't think we'll make it past 11 weeks.
What? I never said that. I was just saying that, 134 episodes. I think we're both very important gentlemen. You more so than me.
I'm not important at all.
You way more than me. Whose, real lives could end up taking amazing turns in 2018. And, could potentially, but I think we're doing great thus far.
Yeah, we're doing great.
But let's just keep the good times rolling. Let's keep the good times rolling.
And the good times will roll. Once again, thanks to everyone who watched the show. If you have any questions, you want to throw us any of your suggestions, any of your matches of the year, hit us up on Twitter at OGJohnny5 and at Meelz TV. That is MEELZTV. Thank you for watching the show. Not watching. Why do I always say watching? I feel like we should be.
You want us to be.
I want us to be. I do. I really do want us to be.
We should be visual.
We should definitely be visual. I think that your face deserves to be on the tube.
All right.
Yeah, but yeah, thanks for watching. I said it again. Thanks for listening to the A show.
Thanks for listening. Jesus Christ. Thanks for listening to our damn show, the A show. This has been the best of 2017, and we are out.
All right, guys. See you next year.